Hey there, I'm Jody Vance.
And I'm George Affleck.
And it's time for
UnSpun.
It is episode 22 of UnSpun, and we have to give a shout out to the boys of the BC Poly Hot Stove, McLean Kay and Jordan Bateman. I watched it, their most recent episode, which is very good, by the way. Got some insight on the ledge from McLean, who is obviously
he was in there for the craziness.
Yeah. And he was at a loss for words to explain it, which I found impressive for McLean, because he is quite the wordsmith. However, we got a little shout out on there, so I thought only fair that we give a little.
Back at you, boys.
Back at you, boys. Team Orca. The orca.ca is where you find great BC political topics and insights. We got a
And they're taking advertising now because they're so popular.
Oh, really?
So apparently, they're setting up a whole ad thing now. So if you want to advertise
is what we need
on the Orca, you can just contact McLean.
That's fantastic. Follow at the Orca BC on Twitter. You can follow George, of course.
George _ Affleck.
George
_
Affleck. Jody with a Y, Vance, at Jody Vance. And we always have good topics flowing over the course of the week. We only do UnSpun podcast once a week. That comes out on Fridays for you, but we keep up on stuff. So at UnSpun Podcast is our last Twitter handle that we will give to you for today, because we have so much to cover off.
Lots of small things this week.
And
they kind of tie together.
Yeah, one really bugs me though. That story about the woman who was basically held hostage in a taxi.
Are we talking taxis today?
Can we talk taxis? I want to talk gas as well, but let's talk taxis first.
Yes, this was bizarre. So she was...
Well, basically, she was like, "You're not going the right way." And he's like, "Yeah, I can go any way I want to go. I can take you anywhere I want." It's like, are you kidding me? Threaten?
Has that ever happened to you in a cab?
I've had many great cab experiences, so I'll say that first, because there are lots of great cabbies out there. In the last 2 years, I've had 5 that come to mind like that. All of them with just me by myself, with one other girlfriend, or with a couple of other girlfriends. It's always been all women in the car. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, there's this new level of tension, and we get that, it's cash only. It's like, what do you mean it's cash only? Like, I'm not walking around with wads of cash on this day of point of sale, tap your card, Apple Pay, whatever. I feel a level of tension and discomfort in a cabin once I was recognized by my voice, and I got a dressing down by a cab driver, and I was like, pull over, and he wouldn't.
Oh.
Yeah, I was not comfortable. So I'm more and more feeling that it is spinning out of control.
Because when I was elected, they had all the cab drivers had the city councilors' pictures, and they were told to learn our faces. So that sometimes I would get in a cab and they would say, "Hello, Councillor Affleck," and I'd be like, "Huh?" Because usually when I was getting a cab, I might have had a few drinks. You know?
Well, yeah, isn't that the point?
That's the reason. And it was always kind of interesting. So
Cabernet George. Getting it. Cabernet George.
Cabernet.
Get it?
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Yeah, clever.
It's my Ron McLean moment.
But yeah, there is a tension in the Mayor Stewart in Coquitlam.
Yes.
Gotta be careful, don't get in trouble.
Don't get your pocos in your cocos.
Coming out strong against second year in a row. He's come out hard against the taxi drivers out in the burbs there.
It's time. Like, I'm prepared as one of those people who don't wear their political stripes on their sleeves. Like, I'm very much motivated by, I want to hope that politicians will deliver on their promises. So if I actually had a promise from a politician that I believed that, right? I know, right? But that's my naivete. I continue to try and fight for that. But I honestly thought, like, John Horgan did campaign on this being one of the things. Ride sharing was coming.
No, well, it was Christie, and that's why she lost. Maybe.
Do you think so?
Well, there are lots of reasons
John
why
Horgan,
she might have lost. She didn't actually lose, though. She, of course, won, but she lost in the end, as it were.
It's so complicated where we are.
But the cabbies, that election, some people will say, Suzanne Anton's riding, 2 ridings in Surrey, were because the taxi drivers rallied. Yeah, Fassbender and I forget which other one. They rallied their supporters, the taxi guys, to get out them and vote, to vote in these fairly swing ridings. I mean, where Suzanne was very. Pardon
my ignorance on this one, George, but is the taxi vote still, as that area grows and changes and gets more and more diversified, is it always going to be this way, or is there going to come a time where if you say, I'm going to make gas cheaper, and then those people come out and say,
it's interesting how if these are okay, let's say this taxi stuff did have an effect in the last election. I think that will be usurped. Speaking of gases, I think that will be usurped by the gas issue in that area. If you live in Surrey right now and you need to drive to work, the cost of driving to work now is gone up exponentially by 30% in the last year. So if I'm spending an extra $300 a month on getting to Vancouver, and I live in, say, Port Kells or wherever, and I got
way out,
you're like, there's no transit. You got to drive to work. I'm going to be pissed at the NDP right now.
Or if you're a shift worker, because when we talk about that, there's no transit there because people are like, well, take a bus.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what if I'm off work at 2 a.m.? Mm-hmm. There's no bus.
Yeah.
There's no way to get home to Tsawwassen.
Yeah.
You know?
And not even sharing is an issue. If you work at 2 in the morning, you can ride share with somebody, but not likely. I mean, so, it'll be interesting to see, because he's the premier has this review going on, which is, of course, not reviewing the provincial angle and what they could do to help.
Every time
it's not about taxes.
But every time I hear the words, we're going to have a review on that, all I think is, cha-ching, there's tax dollars going to be burned in a room full of people that are really going to, then the report comes out and they go, here you go. Mm-hmm. And then everybody goes, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we're done. It's
we know
stop
the
burning
solution to this gas.
Right?
It's called a pipeline.
Ian Tostenson and the BC Restaurants Association, just in terms of getting people around, going back to the taxi piece, I saw a bunch of the guys, Matt Sakaris from the team radio, 1040. He was tweeting about it. He's like, 45 minutes at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday? Are you kidding me? 45 minutes to get a cab?
To get a cab.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's just a one-off there. And how many times have you waited more than an hour?
Oh God, yeah.
Lots.
We have so often. I live downtown.
Yeah.
And Amanda's mom often babysits for us, and she lives just across the bridge. And so we'll come back, and she's got to go home. And sometimes we'll either call the cabs or we'll try their stupid apps that never work. And then they'll say your cab is coming, and she's 70-something years old. She walks out to the thing. She hasn't got there fast enough because it might be pouring with rain, so we were inside, and the cab's gone already, if it was ever actually there. And then you're sort of like, okay, now I got to call again.
Now what?
And then you're sort of wandering around the streets looking for a cab.
And now it wasn't worth going out. Now, and that's what's happening to us, is we don't go out anymore. Downtown, we stay in our neighborhood, which is good for local business, I guess. But in terms of, going out for the fun events, the New Year's Eve celebration down at Jackpool Plaza, I'm like, hell no.
That's why I get my Moby membership, though. I ride my little Moby bicycle.
But can you ride your little Moby bicycle to Tsawwassen? Right?
That would be a competition. That sounds like
going back to the gas
gimmick.
There should be some ride share scenario where you could get the Moby bikes on it and trailer you out too.
Yes.
Okay, so taxis are a problem and a vote getter, but the way that those it's two ridings, right? That
yeah, well, Fraser Heights in Vancouver is swing riding. George Chow's there now with Suzanne Anton before. Yeah. It goes back and forth, so that's a vulnerable riding for the NDP. Not so related to gas, but if they're angry enough up there and George Chow doesn't do his job.
So that needs to be the other party's candidates' platform, is to
they need to go after those 3 or 4 ridings that spent all their time there. I don't know if the Liberals did that last time, if they really focused in on some key ridings. They may have missed that opportunity and they were focused on the wrong things. But there's other ridings like Vancouver Centre, the one in my area, which Sam Sullivan has, which he only won by 500 votes. It was a close call. And
that's a close haircut right there.
Yeah, for a riding that should be
a no-brainer.
No-brainer. So he's vulnerable on the other way. So that's why I think the NDP are holding off as long as they possibly can, because they're probably hoping naturally the gas prices will go down for some reason or other. Or the rest of the country will catch up.
Like you said, we're talking 16 new taxes, plus the housing chaos, plus ICBC, plus money laundering, plus you can't get a cab, plus the gas prices, plus all these things are starting to pile up on this government. I don't know if they would pile up on any other party in power as well, but this government, to me, feels like they're...
Here's my prediction.
Okay.
For them.
Stand by.
The way they can get win on this one.
All right.
Is they start announcing big, huge transit systems from Surrey and Langley, and we're talking rail along the highway. We're talking significant announcements about investment in public transportation.
The important piece here is the announcements.
And those will happen around starting in the 3-month mark before they're deciding to have an election. When those announcements start happening, you'll know an election is soon to be called.
And then we'll have re-announcements of the announcements well into the next term.
Well, then
there'll be an announcement about the announcements, and still not have the transit. See? I'm starting to get a little bit.
You should be a politician with that savvy.
That
kind of
Can you imagine?
skill and understanding of the nuances of electioneering.
My head would explode in the very first meeting. I would. It's just I'm better behind the scenes girl. I would help support somebody like yourself who might run.
You never know.
Let's talk about the Vancouver Art Gallery because we touched on that a little bit last week. Could you give me an update on that?
Well, I heard Bruce Allen this morning kind of pissed me off because he did his rant about this today.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and he named me and lumped me in with Gregor Robertson, which is like very painful for me to hear.
What? Okay, wait, you got to walk us through that because I did not hear this.
Well, because I went out publicly, I went on Twitter and said it's time with the departure of the head of the art gallery,
who had been there for 18 years,
and champion of the new art gallery. And I argued in 2011 and was part of a platform to look at the whole site where the art gallery was going, which is city-owned, and let's look at that whole site and work together with the art gallery. Yeah. That was back in 2011. I still think that's a way to do this. These guys have raised a whole bunch of money. The city needs a new city hall. They need a new place for staff to go. I said and it was to Glenn Korstrom at BIV, I said, my argument was, I'm not saying stop the art gallery.
Right.
I'm saying that city needs to work closer in partnership with them. Like, for example, one up on the other side of that park, you could put a 60-story tower there. The first 30 floors could be administrative offices and
City
perhaps
Hall.
a planning office so that you can actually go one place, get all your permits. Right now you have to go like 3 different, and you got to line up, and there's this crazy teeny space across the street from City Hall where you go and get this. Why not we do, and staff are located all over the city in rental, market rental units that were market leasehold.
At the cost to the taxpayer.
So we're renting all this space, and we own all this space. Well, it makes no sense. Build a 60-story tower. First 30 floors is administrative offices and permit offices. Top 30 floors could be could be market rental, market lease,
office
for office or maybe a hotel
that pays
for everything else, including the art gallery. Right. I think it's totally possible. I think.
And why did Bruce Allen not like that idea?
He didn't read the whole story, and Glenn didn't write the whole thing out the way I described it. And then
you were taken out of context.
Mike McGee supported my tweets, and then that was because he was a total visionista, and oh my God, my world's imploding. It's happening. It's happening.
What's happening?
Anyways,
excuse me.
I've encouraged a coughing
fit.
You
brought on
warning
my coffee
to all the listeners and viewers.
Yes.
Jody has whooping cough.
I have the plague.
You have the plague.
Yes. Apparently, I'm not contagious. It's not deadly. I have no fluid in my lungs. But welcome to this.
And I already had it, so
4 to 6 weeks.
You can't give it to me.
So yeah. So while Amanda's away. No, I'm kidding. Oh my God, Brian will just die. You gotta cut that out. Nah. Okay. Okay. So the Vancouver Art Gallery. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. Just in the discussions that you and I have had about that space.
Yeah.
Why not think for the future? Because it feels like this Vancouver Art Gallery project and the build and the plans and the architecture and everything has been going on for so long. Our city's changed exponentially since then.
Yeah.
So we need to rethink it. So I'm down for that. I'd also like to rethink the Granville Entertainment District. I'm passionate about this one. I spent a lot of my life as a waitress.
Also a place you can't get cabs ever.
No. Oh my God, and you want to run screaming from there.
Yes.
But I was a waitress at Kit's Pub at 86th Street Music Hall. 86th Street Music Hall, man. I slung drinks there for years. Probably. It was a great place to work. And it was a great time in the entertainment. I was at
Were you there during Expo?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't old enough then.
What? Wait a minute. Okay.
I turned 19 after.
Okay. Oh, you're much younger than me.
No, I'm not. Pardon me.
That's a wake-up cough for you all. If you're not paying attention,
you're going to edit them all out, I hope.
Yeah. It's really easy to do that.
So, but comedy clubs, nightclubs, live venues, bars, I've done that. I basically grew up at the Roxy. One of my first radio jobs was opening the Roxy. Saturday Night Live at the Roxy. Joe Leary and I would do a live show on the radio from the Roxy every Saturday night. Yeah, we did it for
with 2 years. Who's house band? Were they there then, or was it mixed bands then?
Dawn Patrol, who are the Odds. They weren't there on the Saturday nights.
Okay.
Though. Then.
Right.
Who did we have? Anyways, I digress.
I was in a relationship, so I never went to the Roxy because why?
Hilarious.
Why would I?
It was a fun place to go, and you felt safe there, and you felt safe standing in line out in front of it, and you felt good about going to the Commodore, and you felt good about going to the Vogue.
This is when there was a movie theaters across
Capital
the street.
Six,
they were all there. There's a real mixture of people that were there. So.
And for me.
You're saying it's not like that anymore?
Oh it's a war zone. People are like, Bar Watch, it's so great. Thank God for Bar Watch, or more people would be killed down there. That's my opinion. I hope to high heaven that my son never hangs out down there. Okay, would you like your kid to hang out down there?
Well, I literally live a block from there. So
right, but I'm not saying it's unlivable.
They're forced. My 11-year-old goes out there to get to Slurpee at 7-Eleven. But I would say, I did two motions related to this while I was in council. The first one was rejected by Vision Vancouver because they said there's no problem with Granville Street. This was my first term, and this is like 2012. I said, this is a shithole. Oops.
Yes, it is. Well said.
There's and this is just the design of it. It's like there's parking on the sidewalk. It's got these ridiculous bike stalls. It's like it's weird benches that are the wrong way. I don't understand it.
All the people outside are just trying to get in, and they're mad at each other trying to get in.
Yes, and it's a big drunken. And part of it, we would create this entertainment district, but it wasn't thought out. We just gave all these licenses and moved all these licenses off of Richards and Seymour onto Granville.
And it used to be so great.
And so but we didn't think about it live music. We didn't think about the street engagement. My motions, both of them. The second one did sort of pass, was to rethink Granville Street and how do we get people onto the street. Think of Times Square and how it's changed. If you went to Times Square in New York like 20 years ago, it was not nice.
It was seedy.
Now they close it off. They have it's total family friendly. You can go there.
It's like Disneyland.
Stairs. You can sit there. Yeah, it's actually owned by ABC. It's owned by Disney. So you can have this experience that's safe. And I always argued we got to get first of all get the buses off of Granville. I'm not saying close it off, but I think close it off as we do in the weekends. We could close it off. Push the restaurants that have nice big patios.
Big patios.
Where you can eat late.
Think about
there's music.
The plaza or whatever, like going to Madrid, and they're just these beautiful.
Or Barcelona.
Oh my God, massive places where you can go and you can and have a great time, and there's food and there's drink and people can sit there and
eyes on the street, literally sitting there. People sitting at restaurants. You are less likely to be a hooligan, as my dad would have said.
No fun Vancouver, man. You're not hooligan.
No fun city though.
No fun city. You got to tighten everything.
So the BIA wrote an article, Charles Gauthier, about we are not no fun city anymore. We are a fun city, and I think there are arguments. My motion from 2012 about having a New Year's Eve event. There are things. It's been a very successful thing.
Yeah.
But this area continues to be a problem and is a blight. And there is new stuff going in there, and there's big changes happening. But the city needs to be more proactive. And I think Lisa Dominato put a motion forward about the night economy, which is about across the city. What is the impact of a positive, good night economy? What does that mean to the city? What does that mean to taxes? What does that mean? How do we structure it? What should people be paying? All that is now going to be analyzed.
Which I'm glad about that. There's an analyzing research situation where I think that's money well spent.
Finally, the Vancouver Economic Commission can do something for the millions they get.
Let's do it.
The taxpayers
just
of
a little bit of Bitter George to punctuate the end of that.
Don't get me started on the 43 communication staff at City Hall. I did it.
Worked it in every time. You're so good. That's when you drink. You drink with us.
Even if it's Saturday morning and you're having a cup of coffee, that's fine.
You can just whatever you're drinking. It doesn't have to be vodka.
No.
And then Granville Entertainment District, I will tack on my thing. Once it's set up, once that's a cool place, it's downtown, it's happening, it's wicked, it's cool, it's easy to shut down traffic at both ends. You can set up stages and hold 420 there.
There you go.
Just hold.
Put it on the street.
Put it on the street. And you know what? The businesses, you can open or not for that day. Mm-hmm. If you want to, do it. And maybe hand out temporary licenses for places to where it can be the trade show where all of the legal cannabis.
In fact, Dana Larson, Jody Emery.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go ask now?
Go ask now.
Do it. Just go talk to the city. Go talk to the mayor who's going to find a solution.
So if we move buses off of Granville, will they go down different streets and then interrupt bike lanes?
Bike lanes. Well, it's funny you should ask. Because yes, they will, kind of, but there is a plan for Richards. But they already do go down Richards and I always get Hornby, Howe, whichever the one is. They have the on Fridays and Saturdays, the buses are rerouted
Hornby
already.
goes north.
Yes, and then
Howe goes south.
Yeah, so Richards or Seymour and whatever.
Yeah.
But there's by my house. I got a thing in the mail this week. speaking of bike lanes, and I know everybody thinks I hate bike lanes, but I don't hate bike lanes. I hate bad process. And this one was they talk about spinning. Okay, so I got this thing. It talks about this new bike lane that's going on Drake Street, all the way down Drake, which originally is meant to be the end of the light rail system that's going to be on the streets, the streetcar that goes to that. It's supposed to be the turnaround. Yeah. That's kind of gone on wherever. It's probably never going to happen. So this thing you can choose. You can please come to our meeting and choose between the 2 bike lanes we have planned. You can have one bike lane that goes on one side of the street, or you can have 2 bike lanes on both sides of the street. And I'm thinking, oh my God,
that is some serious spin.
What do you think people are going to choose? They're going to choose the one bike lane.
Overwhelming support.
And then they're going to say, look at the overwhelming support we have for a bike lane by the residents, because there's no other.
You got to give credit to the people who came up with that, though.
All 43 of them. Dang! Did it twice in one show.
That's a new. It's like the 22nd episode.
That means there's 86 communication staff at City Hall.
Don't say that. It might just happen. Okay, let's take it out of downtown Vancouver and go to Anmore.
Anmore, helicopter.
When you have
Wolf
a
of Wall Street
helicopter?
worshippers.
Oh my God! Everything about.
I mean,
this
come on.
Makes me
It's a helicopter landing. It's kind of cool. I mean, as a boy.
Yeah.
It's like
unless
rock
you live next door.
I know. It's not friendly.
The dude Justin Plotz.
Yes. So I have an interesting intel on this person, these people.
Right. Who has said, you know what, next time we'll do it better, and we're probably not going to have another one. It was just sort of a one-off thing in one story.
So a very reliable source of mine told me that these are the same people that have been holding a party in my building in Yaletown for over a year. They had 2 or 3 of these massive parties where they had it was the tower in the top floor of the tower in a penthouse, and they had they had a red carpet into this elevator. They had their own security system. They had literally stanchions with those velvet things, the rope stanchions.
Ropes. Oh
they had people had wristbands. They were selling tickets. I think they were $200 or $300 a ticket to go up here and party in our building. Completely illegal. Now I'm not
kidding.
Whatever, it's a party, and so
it's Strata
tried to stop this.
Yeah.
They couldn't. So then, what was frustrating was City Hall refused to do anything. They said, we said they don't have a permit. They don't have. How can they do this? Well, you got to get enough number of complaints, 311, before we'll do anything. We're like, what?
There's a message there. Complain about everything on 311. Everything.
Yes.
Because I would think
volume. Police said they came and they said there was no problems. So they couldn't. They turned the noise down when they turned the noise down. But we said, but this is illegal.
Yeah.
We tried to. We fined them. They paid the fines because the fines were,
negligible.
Yeah. And so it's interesting. It's apparently, I don't know for sure, but this person said that he thought that person was the same.
So this is systemic. This is not.
Well, it's
this
a
is
business.
Not a one-off.
I guess it's a business.
Yeah. But you need to shut that down. I mean, come on. That's crazy. I want to ask you about Level too. Is that the name of that building?
Yeah.
Because everybody got all up in arms about this, and rightfully so, because it feels like, okay, remember that building Level on Seymour Street?
Seymour and Nelson.
That was running basically illegal Airbnb
Mm-hmm.
where it's supposed to be rental stock. Yes.
It was a long-term. It wasn't actually a subsidized rental by any means.
No.
It wasn't part of the Rental 100
No.
or the STIR program.
But the permit was.
Private market rental.
Right.
But they were operating like a hotel.
Yeah.
But
which is illegal.
Yeah. And so they got in trouble and they said, okay, we won't do it again. They got fined.
And then they kept doing it and then they got in trouble again and then they said, okay, now we won't do it again.
So just before I left office, there was a staff report that came, and I had to recuse myself because one of my building was included in this report, so I had to recuse, we call it, and not be a part of the debate. But basically, we rezoned most of the buildings along Seymour and Richards, all the towers, in that they can all go and apply if they want to become hotels, basically. And so, a strata building like mine would be very challenging because you have to get like 100% of the people to support this, and then you have to change what you are, and you just got to run as a business. It's very complicated. But there are examples of strata hotels in a city. I think the Rosewood is a strata hotel. There's lots of examples. So it passed, like no problem. And because the reason that this passed and was agreeable was that we need more hotels in our city in order to stop the Airbnb happening across the city. Why not make these buildings as a possibility to have hotel rooms so that we can alleviate the stress on the actual long-term rental across the city.
On the basement suite in your neighborhood that you could live in and you love. Right.
Get more hotel rooms. How do we do that? We don't have endless amounts of land downtown. So this motion passed, this report passed. So these guys just went through the process and they got what they wanted. They're a hotel now, which is they're completely allowed to be.
Right.
They're a private owner of a market rental that received no subsidies from the city. They did operate illegally for sure, and they got fined for that. But
that's the mistake piece.
But now with this rezoning,
right? So you've unspun that this is some sort of inner working.
No, they are following the rules.
They followed the rules finally, and then,
finally, yes.
But it did take some time. I mean, there's that.
Yeah, what will be interesting to see other buildings now following suit along there. You know, certainly we've talked about it in my building. It's a discussion to say, 70% of my building is rental. And that we don't allow Airbnb at all, and we fine people $1,000 for getting caught. $1,000 fine in my building if you get caught Airbnb. So the definite discussion in my building is that no Airbnb and no hotel. But other buildings
to sublet in your building?
Yeah, you can sublet, but you have to get your Form K and all that stuff.
You have to go through a pre-approval process.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But other buildings along that area, you'll see them maybe converting to kind of Airbnb hotels.
City's growing. It's got to.
We need tourists. It's a big part of our economy.
Oh man, we do. I think next week I want to talk about cruise ships and whatnot, because there's like a lot of discussion about that as well. But first, let's talk about deterrents for carrying plastic bags, shopping bags. Did you see this story? I love this. Dan Burrett, I think, had it up on his
on CBC.
Yeah, CBC.
Yes.
I think
what
it was
the bags?
Dan
What did the
Burrett.
bags say? You wrote it down there. I see.
There were three. To say
I saw this and I immediately thought the exact opposite of what the whole.
Me too.
So you go read what they were.
So there were three.
So 3 plastic bags.
3 plastic bags with graphic art on them. One said Colon Care Co-op. One said Adult Video Emporium. And the other one was a wart.
Wart something. Outerwear?
Right there. Ointment. Wart ointment. Or treatment. Ointment, treatment.
Wart was the key word there.
But like 3 things that you might not want to be walking down the street carrying. And I was thinking, I want
to order. Stop you using plastic bags, right?
Yeah, I want to order all 3 of them and
I want a whole bunch of them.
They're funny.
I can't wait to get one at a store.
They remind me of those, remember the bubble gum that you used to get and you'd have those weird advertisement cards in them?
Pud?
I think that's what
we're showing our age here.
Pud. There you go.
I was going to name my first kid Pud, but
that guy kibosh. Yes. I will tell you, my column this week is something that's very important to me, and I find that it reduces my blood pressure when I do it. I'm starting my own movement of being truly Canadian and trying to find Canadian kindness in our day-to-day.
Well, that's bullshit.
It is. See? He said shit and bullshit in one podcast. McLean, there's got to be a fine for this.
Where's the tip jar? What is that
That's
thing?
right, the swear jar. We need one of those. That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
That could be our yearly
$100 of money
Christmas
laundering
party.
we could do on there.
But basically, like with all the polarization and how people are just being so tribal now, and if I had somebody ask me the other day, it's like, do you and George Affleck like share political views? And I said, no, I don't know.
What does that mean?
But George is a conservative, and I'm like, is he? You know? And then you're a liberal. I'm like, I am? But I've been painted a certain way. You know, you're a woman, you're a parent, you've got a kid, 3 dogs now. You're you must be.
You're fake news.
You dress like a hippie. I'm fake news, for sure. Well, and that's kind of how my column starts off, is I was at Costco last weekend, and a dude walked through the outdoor at the checkout wearing a CNN is fake news t-shirt, and on the back it said InfoWars. And you don't usually see those t-shirts here.
This is all on one guy.
All on one guy, but more importantly, and I reflected in my column, was his posture and his cadence of gait. Like the way he walked was imposing. Like he was just looking for somebody to say something just so he could be mad back at them.
Right.
And I was like, this is America right now. This is not Canada. We need to let the person merge in front of us. We need to friendly wave the people that let us go down the one street by pulling over, and hold the door for the human behind you. Make eye contact, smile, say hello. Yep. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's not that hard.
Now that's just weird.
It's not, George. It's not.
Well, I mean, actually, I went to Nelson once, and people did that all the time. And I thought, what? Huh?
It's weird.
What's happening?
You got to let it happen.
I do it in my building. I get in the elevator, I say hi, and people are always like, oh. But yeah, you do have to do it.
Read my column.
I did read it, actually.
Oh, there you go.
I'm just joking. I agree.
You're lovely.
100%. Agree. Be more friendly, everybody.
The Orca.ca.
Don't be so mean to me on Twitter.
Oh no, be mean to him on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
I will defend him.
Twitter is
I'll defend
a
you.
whole different ballgame.
Because I think that's part of it too. You have to be able to stand up for the people around you and do it in a way that doesn't make it worse. Do it in a way that's like, hey, I see where you're coming from. I'm going to disagree with you. But, have a great day and carry on. There's a way to do it.
Agreed.
There's a way to do it. So the orca.ca, while you're there, you got to sign up. Excuse me. Subscribe for the Fin, because that is the coolest email in your inbox.
Saves me a lot of time every day. He goes through all the stories and puts them all in one place for me to click on. It's great.
That he is McLean.
Curates,
And he's cool.
McLean
And watch
curates
the
it
BC Poly Hot Stove, and I believe that Jordan Bateman is getting soft in his old age.
Oh, wow.
That's what he said in his last podcast. And maybe I'm getting soft in my old age. I'm like, you are not. I love those guys.
Not that I've seen.
No, they will say anything and often
Jordan
do.
was always my nemesis when I was in
Really?
office. Well, as far as people, it was always either whenever the news would go to talk to somebody, they'd go to Jordan or they go to me. It's like if they couldn't find me, they'd go to me. How do we get the other?
I think that might be how I found you.
Probably couldn't find Jordan, so get the guy with George, close enough.
That's it for UnSpun for this week. See you next time.
Thanks.